It has been a very long time since I've actually sat down and read a series. I have been reading a lot of like one shots and standalone novels lately, just because I haven't really felt like getting into anything like huge. I feel like I have to be in a certain mood to read a series. I have to feel committed to something before I dive into one. But I have kind of felt like maybe getting into a series recently, but not committing too much to anything too huge. So I thought I would go with something that's not a huge commitment, is probably going to be very easy to read, and then also is a series compiled of like standalone books that interweave but aren't like cliffhanger endings and so on and so forth, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Not the traditional series in that sense. So, with all of that being said, I thought it would be a good time to start the Twisted series by Anna Huang. I have seen these everywhere for such a long time. So many people hype them up, and I need to see what all the hype is about, honestly. They've been sitting in my TBR pile for far too long now, and I think it is time to finally dive into them. I do believe that they are supposed to be like a dark, spicier kind of romance. I could be wrong on that, but that's the vibe I get. Oh yeah, there's trigger warnings. It's definitely on the darker side, probably. You wouldn't kind of think that with the covers. To me, they look kind of nice, but I guess they're not. But anyway, book 1 is Twisted Love, book 2 is Twisted Games, book 3 is Twisted Hate, and then book 4 is Twisted Lies. Now, I do believe that all of these books are about different couples, but they're set in the same universe, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that they're probably like friends or something like that. But I cannot wait to dive into these, so I think I'm actually gonna start Twisted Love right now, and hopefully it's going to grip me from the start and I'm not gonna want to put it down. I just finished Twisted Love and I actually really enjoyed this, even though it was super cheesy and corny and cringe at times. And some of the things that the characters said was just almost embarrassing. But the romance aspect of it was cute at times, definitely very spicy, but I really do think that dark romance is my kind of vibe. It's giving Edward Cullen if he was like a CEO of a company and not a vampire, if that makes sense. So I do think I'm going to be rating this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that the next few books are going to be just as good as this one. They all follow different characters, so it'll be interesting to see kind of which set of characters I prefer. So far, I did enjoy the couple in Twisted Love, so I'm really hoping that the next 3 couples are also going to keep me wanting to read. The second one seems like it's going to be about one of the main character's best friends from Twisted Love and her romance story, so that'll be really interesting. I have, however, been reading a lot today, so I think I'm going to save Twisted Games for tomorrow, and fingers crossed it is just as good as the first one. I just finished Twisted Games, and I think I'm gonna rate this one 4 stars as well. At first, I was kind of feeling the 5-star vibe, and I really enjoyed the characters a lot more than Twisted Love, but as the story went on, I kind of felt like they got more and more cringe and kind of ended up meeting the cringe level of the 2 characters in Twisted Love. And then also, I felt like this book could have been like 100 pages shorter. I still really enjoyed it. I think it is decently written romance, and I did really enjoy the end as well. I'm not going to say much more than that because obviously I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but this was a very decent dark romance spicy book, and I am really interested to start Twisted Hate because I know exactly what characters are going to be like the love interests in this one, and I'm not sure how I'm going to enjoy the dynamic of that one. I definitely think I'm going to like the characters separately, but not sure about how I feel about them together, so we'll kind of see on that front. But I think I am actually going to start this one right now. I was going to hold off until tomorrow, just kind of let myself breathe and take a little break from reading after finishing Twisted Games. I didn't really want to get into Twisted Hate too quickly, but I'm still really in the mood to read. So I think I'm going to start this one, maybe read like a few chapters at least tonight, and then I am off of work tomorrow, so I am going to hopefully go for a hike with my boyfriend and get a lot more of this read as well. So last night I finished Twisted Hate and I was kind of thinking about giving it 4 stars, but I am really pissed off at it. I'm not gonna lie to you. Leading up to the end, it was super good. I was thinking 4 stars because I was liking it just as much as honestly the first one. I think the first one's my favorite, but this one was heading in that direction and I was having a good old time. But then we got to the last 150 pages and I could have launched the book out my window. Something the main male character did really irked me, and I don't like the way that it ended up being handled by both main characters. It's bad. If you have read these books, let me know in the comments what you kind of thought about it, because I'm not here to spoil this for anybody, but that point of the book was not it. To me, what he did was unforgivable. I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, so I am actually gonna end up reading this one 3 stars. I considered 2 stars. I also considered DNFing it, but I didn't want to do that because I do want to get into Twisted Lies and I didn't want to miss anything. I feel like leading up to that point, it was definitely on the track to 4 stars, so 2 stars feels a little low for me. So I think I'm gonna go with 3. I don't know. I might change my mind later on, but I am really upset with how that one went. And oh, I love a good dark romance, don't get me wrong, but not in the way that this one went. So, with that being said, I am going to get into Twisted Lies, but I do think I'm going to start it tomorrow because I just can't bring myself to pick it up today. I am really hoping that it's going to be just as good as Twisted Love. That one so far has been the best, but we'll kind of see. Oh my gosh. Also, these books just keep getting bigger and bigger. This one is 550 pages. That is huge for a romance. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I will hopefully start this tomorrow, and fingers crossed that it doesn't make me angry. I just finished Twisted Lies. I actually read this one in the span of like 3 days. And in those 3 days, I also went to a Hozier concert. So safe to say this one was actually really good, and I did not want to put it down because I didn't have a lot of extra free time on my hands the last few days, but when I did, I was devouring this book. I still think it's only 4 stars to me, just because I do still stand by the fact that some of this stuff is super duper cringe. Though I think the couple in this one was the least cringy in my opinion. And I really enjoyed this one. Not quite as much as the first one. I feel like Twisted Love was probably my favorite, and then Twisted Lies would be a close second. Then I'd have to go with Twisted Games, and then Twisted Hate was definitely my least favorite. It was the cringiest, and I absolutely hated the conflict that happened in it. To me, it was a deal breaker, and I probably would have DNF'd it had there not been a 4th book in this series. But anyway, I have finally read the Twisted series, and I would say that I'd rate it probably a solid 4 stars. I could do without Twisted Hate. And with that being said, I think if I were to reread it, I would probably just skip that one. There are some things that happen in it that are kind of mentioned and alluded to in Twisted Lies, but I don't think it would be all that bad if you read Twisted Lies without reading Twisted Hate. I don't know. With that, I think I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you have a great rest of your week and happy reading.